And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barn on 11970. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And hopefully this will be another video that can help you start thinking in a better, or at least a different way. And I welcome you all, whether you watch this live or you watch it days, weeks, months, years later. Doesn't matter, as long as the message at the time you listen to it resonates with you. So with that being said, it is the 18th of August, 2017, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to try as many times as I can to get people to what I like to call understand about how being silent means we allow evil to thrive, bad things to happen, and what can happen when you choose to end your silence and participate in trying to make your world, somebody else's world, and the world a better place to live by standing up, speaking out, doing things that help, and overall just encouraging yourself and others to not just be quiet and idly watch evil thriving. Because we see, as we allow people to control us and run us, they're doing that, but they're running us into the ground. And that, I would assume for most people, is not a good thing when the majority of the world is way below poverty levels and not thriving. So I want to show you what can happen. So this video is kind of a little shout-out video. And this video goes to one of my subscribers, and their name is VB All Out. It's Victor Baseball All Out. And I want to read this person's comment. And this is one of many different comments that I get from people all the time. And why I'm doing this is to show that when you think beyond yourself and don't do things expecting to get anything back, you may not get instant gratification like what I said in the video the other day, where a lot of people do things because they want instant gratification. Everything is a snap of a finger these days. So when it comes to helping people or doing good or spreading truth, sometimes we don't see the results because it could be heard 5 years later from somebody you'll probably never meet in your lifetime and probably didn't even know existed, but it can affect their lives. So let me read what this person said. And they start out by saying, "This really sucks." So when I first saw that, I'm like, all right, it's one of those condiments, but I continue. It says, "I don't know your name other than Born on 11970. My name is Chris." I say that in a lot of videos. Maybe I forget. I'll have to do that more often. But my name is Chris. And he writes, "Barn, you know you have saved me many of times. 3 weeks ago, you have no idea, but you saved my life. You saved my son's father, in other words, himself. I want to thank you, Barn, with all my heart. I listen to you every time I see your post. You're teaching me so much and making my life so much better. I just want to, forgot to know why YouTube is holding back your notifications and not letting us see them until after you have spoken." That one's a good question because Google and YouTube is definitely making sure my videos don't get out there. But let's continue. "Barn, I want to say thank you. You saved my life and taught me how to become someone of life and love. You're a godsend. From my heart, thank you, and I love you, and you, my friend, will always be a friend to me. Thank you, and if I can ever, well, I'm just paraphrasing what he writes here because it's a little choppy, but that's okay. If I can do anything for you, I will do my best to help you. I can't afford much of anything, but I give you my word. As soon as I can send you some money, I will. I promise you that. Just please always hold me in your heart, just like a friend like you've been. God bless you. Thank you for everything." So VP, I guess we're kind of even because I don't know your name, so I'm going to just call you VB. First of all, you don't have to send me anything. I appreciate that, but I mean, especially from another person that's struggling and stuff, you do not have to send me anything. I don't do this stuff in hopes that, oh my God, somebody's going to send me millions of dollars or whatever. That's why I don't have a P.O. box. I'm not telling people to mail things to me. Yeah, I have the Patreon, but that's to kind of make up for what YouTube is doing by harassing my site. Because if you saw the other day, I made a video that's nothing but inspiring, and YouTube said it's flagged as unadvertiser friendly when it's a motivational video and an inspirational video. They just sometimes just automatically just do that. So I have the Patreon, and I think I have 7 people, maybe 6 people on the Patreon. But please, I don't do this for expecting anything. But I wanted to give you a shout out and say I'm very happy to hear that my videos do positive things. Now, and resource-based economy, thank you. That's really nice. Well, like I said, you don't have to do it, but that's definitely appreciated. Just imagine, like, some people say things like, oh, well, you know, I'm afraid to speak out, or, you know, what if no one will listen? I'm going to give you some advice. If you look on every single video on YouTube, and that would take a very long time, there is at least 1 view on any given video. There will always be an audience, so you will always have people. But it shouldn't matter if you have 1 million people or 1 person. Because I've had letters and messages like that throughout the years of me doing this. That's not the first, and hopefully it won't be the last, even though I appreciate every one of them. But just imagine if I decided years ago to give up. Because I did shut down my original YouTube channel back in 2011. Because back then, I didn't know about this stuff. And I took it very personally, and I shut down and deleted all my videos. And about a month later, I started this channel, and I've been on it ever since. But just imagine if I decided that day to quit and never make another video. Where would I be right now? Would I have grown to the point of where I am now? And what about all the people over the years that my videos have touched? And many of them are videos I did years ago. So one of the biggest things I want to instill into people is, if you do good, eventually your good is going to spread and help someone else. And you may not notice what you do. You may not ever notice what you do and how it affects other people. But trust me when I say, when you do the right thing, good things will happen. And I constantly get bad things that could come my way. And Nerd, wow. I mean, Nerd, trust me, you guys, you don't have to send me anything. I really appreciate that. That's pretty awesome. But trust me when I say this is not, it's not the Bar None telethon or anything, but I do appreciate that. So thank you. But trust me, nobody has to do this stuff. This is not what this is about. But I do want to thank you, because the one thing I always learned is, when I was younger, I was always used to giving things, and I felt really awkward taking things. That's just always how I've been. And that's why, like, this channel is based on trying to do for other people. Now, obviously, in the beginning, when I was starting to learn this stuff, I didn't really know what was going on. And in this world of illusion and division, they tried to confuse you. And back in the days, yeah, there was a lot of things. I got into the Alex Joneses of the world, and I listened to the Max Kaisers of the world and heard all the conspiracy theories and thought, oh, you know, we're all going to die and all that stuff. It's like a death. You have to go through different stages. And eventually you reach the final stage where things end up falling into place. But I want people to realize, because like I always say, you need realize to realize, is that when you do the right thing and when you speak up and you help a stranger or a loved one or an animal, you never know what good can come out of that. Because just imagine, let's say you're walking down the street and you bump into somebody and that person's like really aggressive to you. And instead of you wanting to fight the person, you say, you know, I'm really sorry about that. You know what? I have an extra bottle of soda in my igloo thing. Let me give you that. I'm sorry. And let's just say that person was going to go home and beat his wife, or go and kill somebody, or maybe kill himself. And your kind gesture made him say, wait a minute, maybe there is still good in this world. Maybe not everybody is bad, because maybe he had a day, or she had a day, where so many people were doing so many rude or rotten or evil or cruel things that the person finally came to the end of their rope and said, you know what? I'm going to go home, get my gun, and go on a shooting spree. Or I'm going to go and end my life. Or I'm going to go home and abuse somebody because it's easy. And your kind gesture made them think in a different way. You may never know that you did that. And that's what this is all about. It's not about saying, I'm going to do this because I expect milk and cookies. I don't want to help an old lady across the road and then stick my hand out waiting for a tip or gratuity. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And a lot of times, you will do things and never, ever get to see the good that you've done. And let me tell you something. There are a lot of evil people. There are people that are very questionable. And I've had people in my life, especially on YouTube, where people will contact you and pretend to be your friends. And I've had people do incredibly cruel things to me. They tried. But, you know, there are some people out there where it's just easy to do the wrong thing. It's easy to look the other way. It's easy to make yourself feel good by hurting somebody else or lying to somebody else or just not seeing something from somebody else's perspective. Because what may be funny to you may make somebody else want to end their life or ruin them. So think about the things that you do, because there are always consequences. And if you're a caring person and you stop and think about things, you will realize, Resource, trust me, you guys don't have to do that, but thank you. You guys are making my day, but please, I don't want people to think that's what this is about. But what I'm saying is, and I do want to say thank you because I appreciate that. You guys are too much. But when I get emails and comments from people saying, you know what, I was going to commit suicide, or I was really depressed, or I was ready to give up, and they say one of my videos helped turn their life around, do you know what a positive feeling that is? It's like a drug. See, I don't do drugs. I don't even drink. My drug is knowing that I can help somebody turn their life around. Somebody that, like, I didn't specifically make a video saying, okay, Bob from New Jersey, this video is for you so you could feel better because I have a hunch that you wanted to commit suicide today or something. My videos, it's just me coming up with a thought, turning on the camera, and just going. I never plan what I'm going to say. I never write anything down. Nothing's ever scripted, and I just speak from the heart. Now, when I speak from the heart, sometimes I might put my foot in my mouth, or I might say the wrong thing, or I might slip up, or I might be wrong. But at least the people that come here for the right reasons know that I may not be perfect. I may not do everything right. But I try and be as genuine as humanly possible. And I've opened myself up to a lot of people over the internet throughout my history. And I've always been one of those people to openly trust people. Now, there have been people that take advantage of that. There have been people that have tried to cause harm. But I look at it as, for me, as usual, anything that comes across and enters your way is there to teach you something, and it's there for a reason. So instead of getting mad about it or wanting to put a gun to your head or somebody else's head, you stop and think, wait a minute, what can I learn from this? And if you can learn something positive, then even the scariest, most frightening, most depressing thing in your life has meaning. So if something bad happens to you and you learn something that makes you a better person, then was it really bad? Or was it there to make you pay attention to it? And the biggest thing in this world is people base their world on fear. And they're so afraid that if they speak out, that bad things will happen to them. Well, I've been talking about this stuff now, at least on this channel, since 2012. Yes, I've had some people that are shady at the least, and some downright cruel. But it never stopped me. And it's okay to get knocked down. I've been knocked down. The true strength of a person is not that you could physically beat someone up. It's not that you can get a bunch of friends to intimidate somebody. It's not going and seeking somebody out to do some sort of harm. That's not strength. That's weakness. True strength is knowing that you could be beaten and still want to get up. That you can be betrayed but still want to give. What type of person do you want to be? And if you stay silent, if you live in fear, then you allow evil to continue to thrive. If you're afraid to rock the boat, you're on a boat that's going to sink. So why not rock it to get everybody's attention? So speak your mind. Don't be afraid. This world is nothing more than a game, and there are some people that play the game right. There are some people that cheat. There are some people that make up their own rules. There are some people that when you're in the middle of the game and they are losing, they just smash the game because they don't want to admit that they're not winning. You can only control what you do. I've had people recently contacting me, and I don't give out personal information. And I will say at the very least, trust was betrayed. Now, whether they did that on purpose or they did it purely, with the goodness of heart, I don't know. But I can only control what I do. And no matter how frustrating it is to feel like you've been betrayed, or feel like you've been hurt, or feel like you've been attacked, or feel like you've been deserted in some form of your life, it's you that ultimately decides it's time to stand tall and learn from it. Some of the most giving, loving people in this world only got that way because their life began very cruel. And I have stories about, me growing up with an alcoholic, not father, not stepfather, but I guess my mother's boyfriend, I could call him. And very evil things happened. And I could have easily become an alcoholic. I could have easily become some kind of abuser. But I learned from it, and I wanted to be the opposite of what that individual was. So we can make excuses in our lives. We can always say, well, I can't do it because of this, or I'm not as good as this person, or I can't think of a way. Or you can find a way. And the only way you can do that is when you say in your mind and you look into yourself and say, you know what? I'm tired of being silent. I'm tired of watching things go by and not being a part of the race, not trying to pitch in, not trying to help. Because you never know. You might get the one homeless person that legitimately is there because they're out on the streets and they're ready to give up. And you just happen to go by, and to you, giving them $1 might mean nothing. But that could have put food in their stomach for the first time in days. Or like my cat that I have 3 stray cats. And one of them, literally, as I opened the door to get the mail, one blizzard in February 2 years ago, literally walked into my house. I could have easily sent it packing. And this cat would have died. Don't do things for glorification. I don't talk about these things because I need a pat on my back, or what some trolls like to say, I just like to hear myself think or speak. If that was the case, I'd just shut off the computer and just talk to myself like some raving lunatic. I do it to show examples. Lead by example. And that's why no matter what I go through, no matter how many people say, oh, you can trust me, and try and betray my trust or do things that are not exactly the norm, that I don't give up, that I don't get frustrated and quit. And there are plenty of people that can do some very cruel things to me if they wanted to. But I can't control what they do, nor can you. You can only control what you do. So don't go into doing things expecting something. Don't do it saying, you know what can I get from it? Sometimes just do it because it's the right thing to do. I don't make videos every day because this is definitely not easy. I've chosen the type of videos that get mocked, that get silenced, that get criticized, that I get abused. I'm never going to be famous. I'm not going to be invited to some video game tournament. I'm not going to be having millions of fans worshiping the ground I walk on. This is a very lonely type of path that I've chosen. I've lost a lot of friends and family trying to save them. Nerd, stop that. Thank you, but please. I really appreciate it, but please, you don't have to do that. But my point is, you do not have to be the president. You do not have to be some famous rock star. You do not have to be the best speaker or the best composer. You just have to make an effort, because the smallest things can change the world. So you have it in you. It's when you're beaten down all the time and everybody convinces you. And this is what changed my life. There are so many people that will put you down. There were so many people that will attack you because you think differently or you are different. And that's bad in itself. But what's worse is when you believe it yourself. And that's what changed me way back in the, I would say, the late 80s, when I was much younger than I am today. I'm 46, I'll be 47 in November. And I was back then, like many people, very suicidal. I was very depressed. And I pictured myself, before I wanted to do something stupid, and I'm glad I didn't, but I pictured myself dead and buried in a grave. Now, at that moment, you tend to want to just think about yourself. And that's the day I developed my sense of humor, and I'll explain why. Because when I pictured myself in that grave, I didn't think about, oh, my pain is gone, and I don't have to ever deal with the negativity and the hurt and the abandonment anymore. I pictured all of the loved ones, like my mother, my grandmother, my sister, my relatives, my friends, all hovered around the grave crying because I was gone. And that's the moment I developed my weird and warped sense of humor. Because then I thought, wait a minute, at what should be my most selfish moment of my life, to where I'm thinking about wanting to end it, to end the pain and the suffering and the betrayal, that instead of just focusing on the fact that, oh, I'll be relieved of all the pain, I was more worried about someone else being hurt by my selfish action. And I just want to give a shout out to Nerd right now, because he did something amazing. Or she, I don't know. I don't want to assume, so forgive me. But I want to read a comment they just said, and I never knew about this. Nerd says, I was one of Chris's past trolls. I was so hateful. Why? Started off just fun. Then I saw he was a good guy. But the lies had gone too far. I'm truly sorry for that, and I'm glad I'm still learning. And, Nerd, I don't know what troll name you used or anything, but you are actually the first person to ever admit and say something like that. So I want to personally just say thank you. And trust me, you don't owe me anything. You know, the one thing that I've always lived by is to be yourself. Don't pretend to be something you're not, because eventually people will find out the real you. And if they don't like the real you, then you've misled them your whole life. So I've always been me. And I've always had the thought process of, well, if I show me of who I am, then people will either not like me, and then I won't have to waste their time or my time, or they will like me, and like me for who I am, not for what I pretended to be. And I understand that a lot of people try to be something they're not, especially on the internet, because, to be honest, it's easy. It would be very easy to just make a random profile. I mean, when I was doing the online dating scene a very long time ago, there was many people that would make fake profiles, and they did it just for fun. Some of them, it ended up that after a while of us talking, because even when I found out somebody lied to me, I would still be nice to them. I would still want to talk to them, and they'd be amazed, and they'd be like, well, why aren't you cursing me out? Why aren't you trying to hurt me? Why are you not trying to get me back? And I said, because that's just not me. And they actually admitted, well, the reason I posted a fake picture is because I didn't think you would like me for who I was. And there was actually this one girl, after 3 times of catching this person in a lie, she finally showed her real picture. And the funny part is, she was actually more attractive in her real picture than she was posting the fake picture. And Nerd, thank you for that. I know who you are now, and that's really kind of you. But trust me, you don't owe me anything. As far as what was in the past, I became a better person through those situations. And I won't get into the details because that's between that person and myself. If they want to disclose it, that's up to them. But I became a better person. So even though it was not the most trustworthy of situations, and I kind of knew that, I still became a better person from it. So I can't consider it really bad. So I will tell you, nerd, Dory, that I forgive you, and I appreciate, and this is proof right there, and you're hearing this live, because this is the first I've ever heard about this situation, at least as far as who the person was, because no one's ever admitted stuff like that. So here is a prime example, and it shows how things happen for a reason, because this isn't scripted, this isn't planned, this is just one of my random live videos, and here, in an amazing, quote-unquote, what some people would call coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe things resonate and happen when they're supposed to. That a person that says that they were trolling me realizes that because I was genuine and because I wasn't out to manipulate or trick people, that eventually they turned their life around or thought of me in a different light. So, nerd, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And that just even, and see, this is why I show that everything happens for a reason, and how that stuff in the past, you know, you can't re-wake the dead, so why bother trying? Kicking a dead person does no harm. So as far as the past is concerned, that's over with. I learned from it, and look what it's doing now. So even though those bad things happened and I was hurt by them, look at the situation that right when I'm making a video talking about what you can do if you don't give up on people and how you may never know, or something can happen years later, all of a sudden there's a person that comes on saying that they were once one of my biggest trolls and they did it just because it was fun and they turned their life around. That's amazing. If that is an inspiration for people, and if that doesn't prove how many times I've said in my videos that things happen when they're supposed to, and it's not just a coincidence, you have live proof right now. So, Dory, I thank you for that. And I forgive you. And I'm glad that you could see that despite what you may have initially done as fun, saw that I didn't turn evil. I didn't try and seek revenge. I was trying to be everything that I said I was. And unfortunately, there are people that do things for fun. They like hurting people. One of the things as a karaoke DJ, I used to start out, when I was doing karaoke DJing, I started out with 7 karaoke books. I'm down to 2. Now, why would somebody want to steal somebody's karaoke book? Because it wouldn't be useful for them. I even had advertisements on my car. There was magnetic advertisements that had my phone number on it. And they stole them. Why? Because sometimes they just can. When my house got robbed, and it ended up, I found out years later, it was my ex-fiance that was ultimately responsible for my house being robbed. Not only did they steal all my possessions, but they were stealing my mail for years. They had it sent, and it put me in almost to the point where I had to file for bankruptcy because they were putting credit cards in my name. And because they were in my name, I couldn't do anything about it, especially when I didn't find out about it until 5 or 6 years later. And when they robbed my house, they just trashed it. Sometimes people do evil things just because they can. But this should show that if you continue to be honest, if you continue to be genuine, if you continue to do the right thing, if you continue to not be silent, sometimes you can turn things around. And who knows? Let's say, for example, this person, Dory, decided to never change. How many other people could that person have hurt? What if somebody committed suicide? Or what if somebody decided to say, you know what, I'm going to go murder that person? But we don't see the future because the future isn't here. We only see our moments. And that's what this world teaches us, to live in the moment and get caught by what you're doing and not think about the consequences or the reactions or lack thereof. So this is a prime example of how everything happens for a reason. And that's why I always found it funny, some of them. You know, if I always said, you know what, if the trolls want to attack me, if that stops them from robbing a bank or killing somebody and they want to say nasty things about me online or whatever, you know, maybe I'm saving the world by having them vent towards me. So This is a prime example of what can happen if you never give up. And those of you who've been watching my channel for a while know the abuse and the bad things that have happened in my life. Over and over and over again. But it made me who I am. I had to, for me to experience the bad things, even things that depressed me, even things that angered me, even the things that made me want to give up, even the things that made me want to throw something across the room or punch a hole in the wall, which I did when I was younger. I still have holes in the wall to prove it. That I ended up not giving up, and I still wanted to be positive. If that is an inspiration, then I don't know what it is you're seeking. But if right now there are 22 people watching out of 40,000 subscribers, well, almost 40,000. If one person out of those 22 and out of those almost 40,000 people turn their life around and do something good for someone else, then that's a beautiful thing, because who knows who they'll inspire, and who knows who they'll inspire. And quick shout out to the Uncanny Kyle Walker. He's one of the people that goes to my comic book channel. And I haven't talked about that in a while. I have a comic book channel. It's called We Love Comics. And there, I was actually more abused there than I was here. I actually found that funny at one point. I was blown away with all the situations that people were accusing me of. But you know what? It all happens for a reason. And if a bad situation makes you come out stronger, then it served a purpose, and it can't really be bad. So I want you to see this video as inspiration. I want you to rewatch this if you haven't heard the same thing and see the situation that just happened. And Dory, I thank you for that. That was just the most amazing surprise, probably in my lifetime of being on YouTube. And I thank you for what you gave, but trust me, you don't owe me anything. The fact that you're saying what you said means the world to me, and it inspires me even more, because it shows that even people that want to hurt you, even people that want to make fun of you, even people that do it for the fun of it, can turn their life around. So don't give up on them. And this world wants to shoot you, wants to throw you in jail, wants to fill you full of medication, wants to keep you quiet, instead of saying this life is worth living, because you never know what that person can create. So if that doesn't inspire you, you're probably not here. And I'm, for one, glad you are. So thank you so much for this. You guys really made my day. Please watch this video with somebody else. If you want to like it, you want to hate it, that's for you to decide. Be as full of integrity as you can. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to hurt people no matter what you're going to do. Sometimes you're going to do the wrong thing. It's what you do afterwards and what you do with your life in the long run that dictates who you are. So don't beat yourself too much if you've done so wrong, and don't pat yourself on the back too strongly if you did something right. Find that balance, continue to be humble, get away from the fear, and one day you'll inspire somebody like, thankfully, I've inspired people over the years. And I don't need 1 million subscribers to do that or feel appreciated for it. So I want to thank VP for that inspirational message you sent me. I want to thank Dory for that amazing surprise and enlightenment. And I want to thank everybody that not only is watching this live, but watches it days, weeks, or months later. If you get something good out of this, then it proves that things happen for a reason. And when you don't give up and you end your silence, you can change the world. Like my channel says, one person at a time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have all an amazing day.